The phone rang at 6:47 a.m. A shrill cry slicing through the quiet of my lake cabin. I jolted upright, heart pounding, the smell of pine and damp earth still clinging to the air from last night's rain. My hand fumbled for the phone, the screen glowing with an unknown number. Hello. My voice cracked, raw from sleep. On the other end, a woman's voice, sharp as a razor, barked. This is Karen Mitchell, HOA president. You need to vacate my property by noon, or I'm calling the police. My stomach dropped. My cabin, my sanctuary, the one I'd built with my own hands, board by board, after Mom passed. She was claiming it was hers. I stammered. Lady, you've got the wrong number. This cabin's mine. Her laugh was cold, like ice cracking underfoot. Check your mailbox. I have the deed. Signed by you. My blood ran cold. I hadn't sold anything. I hung up, my breath hitching, and stumbled outside, the gravel crunching under my boots. The mailbox stood at the end of the drive, rusted and leaning slightly, a relic from when Mom and I used to race to check it as kids. Inside was an envelope, crisp, official looking. My name was typed across it in bold. I tore it open, hands shaking, and there it was, a deed. My signature scrawled at the bottom, claiming I'd sold the cabin to Karen Mitchell for $250. 000. The world tilted. I'd never signed this. Never even met her. The cabin was more than wood and nails. It was Mom's laugh echoing off the lake, the creak of the porch swing where we'd watch fireflies, the smell of her lavender soap in the bathroom. After she died, I poured everything into this place, every penny, every sleepless night to keep her memory alive. Now some HOA vulture thought she could swoop in and take it. My fists clenched, the paper crumpling in my grip. I wasn't leaving. By 8 a.m., I was at the county clerk's office, the deed clutched in my hand like a grenade. The clerk, a tired woman with glasses perched on her nose, frowned as she typed. This deed was filed yesterday, she said, her voice flat. Looks legit. Your signature's notarized. My knees buckled. Notarized. I didn't sign anything. She sighed, pushing the glasses up. Take it up with the notary. Or get a lawyer. I left in a daze, the hum of the office's fluorescent lights buzzing in my skull. Outside, the air was thick, heavy with the threat of another storm. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number, noon. Be gone. Karen. I drove back to the lake, the road blurring as my mind raced. Who was this woman? The HOA had been a thorn since I moved in full-time last year, sending letters about my unapproved mailbox, my non-compliant wildflower garden. But this was war. I pulled into the drive, tires spitting gravel, and there she was, Karen. She stood on my porch, arms crossed, her blonde bob so stiff it looked like it could cut glass. Behind her, a police cruiser idled, 2 officers leaning against it, sipping coffee. My heart thundered. She'd already called them. You're trespassing, she snapped as I stepped out of my truck. Her voice was all sharp edges, like she was used to people cowering. I own this place. Showed the cops the deed. I held up the crumpled paper, my voice shaking with rage. This is fake. I never sold you anything. One of the officers, a guy with a mustache and a bored expression, ambled over. Ma'am, we've seen the paperwork. Looks clean. You got proof this is yours. My mouth went dry. Proof. The deed was in my safe, but it was the original from when Mom left me the place. I hadn't checked it in years. It's in the house, I said, my voice barely steady. Karen smirked, her eyes glinting like a predator's. Convenient. The officer shrugged. Get it, then. But if you can't, you're out. I stormed inside, the door slamming behind me. The safe was in the bedroom, tucked under the floorboards. My hands shook as I pried them up, the wood creaking like it was protesting. The safe clicked open, and there it was, my deed. Yellowed. The ink faded but clear. My name. Mom's name. The cabin. I clutched it to my chest, relief flooding me like a warm tide. But as I stood, a shadow moved in the hallway. My breath caught. I wasn't alone. Jenna. A voice called. Soft, but familiar. My heart skipped. It was Tim, my old high school friend. The one who'd moved away after college. He stood there, wiry and unshaven, his eyes wide with guilt. "What the hell are you doing here?" I hissed, clutching the deed tighter. He ran a hand through his hair, his boots scuffing the floor. I didn't know it'd go this far. My stomach twisted. "What?" His voice dropped, barely a whisper. "Karen. She paid me to forge your signature. Said it was just to scare you, to get you to sell cheap. I needed the money. Jen. My kid's sick." The air left my lungs. Tim, the guy who'd helped me paint this cabin, who'd cried with me at Mom's funeral, had betrayed me. I wanted to scream, to hit him, but his eyes read. Hollow stopped me. He was broken, too. "Get out," I said, my voice low, trembling. He nodded, head down, and slipped out the back. I stood there, the deed in my hands, the weight of his words crushing me. Karen wasn't just a bully. She was a thief, a manipulator, and she'd used my friend to do it. I stormed back outside, the deed raised like a shield. "This is my proof," I said, shoving it at the officer. He took it, squinting, then handed it to his partner. Karen's face twitched, her smirk faltering. "That's outdated," she said, her voice rising. "Mine's newer. Filed yesterday." The officer frowned, looking between the papers. "This is a mess. We need to sort this at the station." The next hours were a blur. Statements, lawyers, phone calls. My head throbbed, the smell of stale coffee in the police station burning my nose. Karen sat across from me, her lawyer whispering in her ear. She wouldn't look at me, but I could feel her confidence, like a storm cloud ready to burst. My lawyer, a friend of Mom's, dug into the notary. Turns out, Karen's notary was a cousin with a shady side hustle. The deed was fake, forged, just like Tim said. But Karen wasn't done. She leaned forward, her voice dripping with venom. "You don't belong here, Jenna. This lake's for families, not loners clinging to ghosts." Her words hit like a slap. Mom's ghost was all I had. The case went to court fast. The lake community buzzed, neighbors whispering about that HOA lady and her schemes. I sat in the courtroom, the wood bench hard under me, the air thick with tension. Tim testified, his voice breaking as he admitted his part. He'd been desperate, drowning in medical bills. Karen had preyed on that, promising him cash to forge my name. The judge's gavel cracked like thunder when she ruled the cabin was mine. Karen's deed was void. She'd faced charges for fraud. But the real storm came outside the courthouse. Karen stood on the steps, her face red, screaming about injustice to anyone who'd listen. I walked past, my heart pounding, and stopped. The crowd hushed. "You thought you could steal my home," I said, my voice steady now, carrying over the murmurs. "But this cabin's more than property. It's my mom's love, my memories, my fight. You don't get to take that." Her mouth opened, then closed, her eyes darting as the crowd stared. For once, she had nothing to say. I drove back to the lake that night, the sky bruised purple, the air heavy with the scent of rain. The cabin stood quiet, the porch swing creaking in the breeze. I sat there, the deed in my lap, and let the tears come. Not just for the fight, but for Mom, for Tim, for the pieces of me I'd almost lost. The lake lapped at the shore, a soft, steady rhythm, like a heartbeat. Karen was gone, her lies exposed, her power stripped. But the victory wasn't just mine. It was for anyone who'd ever been bullied, pushed, told their home wasn't theirs. I breathed deep, the air cool and clean, and whispered to the stars, "We did it, Mom." The fireflies blinked back, like they agreed.